This, at a glance, is quite a problematic stat. It's from the Financial Mail. Have reduced their listening time by about 16% as digital music streaming surfaces. So this is kind of the superficial point. Radio listeners are spending less time listening. Now, aside from the obvious and glaring flaws of radio listenership measurement, because that's a whole another conference, this doesn't actually talk about the quality of that listenership. Okay, so it's actually not really important for the quantum of listening, in my view. It's about the engagement of that listening. And I think that engagement is getting a lot higher and increasingly more powerful with the augmentation of the internet. Okay, so yeah, and again, this is talking about, it was 4 hours and 9 minutes, it's gone down to 3 hours and 29 minutes. Again, so, oh wow, my God, radio's dying, oh my dear. But, this misses two key points, social engagement and active rather than passive. So we're starting to see, someone mentioned that radio is this passive medium, and I actually agree with that, but it can stimulate and motivate action. And it's quite interesting that. And it's actually the best medium to consume on a passive basis. Then there's something quite compelling about that when you look at the trends of the so-called millennials and the future generations that will also want increasingly bigger pay rises in shorter spaces of time. That was a joke, clearly not funny. I manage a lot of young kids and they're always wanting increases and pay rise, increases and promotions. Right, so what's happening is we're starting to consume media in parallel, and you guys will probably all know this, but Nielsen, in retrospect, it's kind of obvious, but Nielsen in the mid-90s started doing, they thought media consumption was in parallel, and they thought, okay, TV was 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. Eventually, they got to a consumption of media that was more than 24 hours. Now, in retrospect, it's kind of obvious they were consuming it in parallel. What's happening is a lot of media consumption by these youngsters is happening in parallel. So you'll have social media, and you could have radio, and you could be doing your work. And there's loads of those different case studies. So these are the two important dynamics, and this is where the internet augments with radio perfectly. They're perfect bedfellows. Okay. The other thing I want to say is, I'm not one of these social media douchebags. I don't think social media is going to solve world poverty. That is just absolute bullshit. Social media is human, okay? And so when people come to me and want to pay us a lot of money for social media consulting, I first start off by saying don't waste your money, and then obviously if they want to write me a check, I'll do that. But the reality is that it's about human interaction. So how would you engage your friend, or how do you engage your friend? Well, just do those same things and put it on the internet. The internet only turbocharges that. And Wackhead kind of made a point about being authentic. That's exactly what you got to do. You just be yourself, transpose it on the internet, and you turbocharge it.